And welcome to this week's edition of Bury Your Bookie, this Wednesday edition, I should say. We do it every day because we want to help you do just that, Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForrest, and Troy West is already manning the chair there and going to help us as we transition from professional football. College football was over about a month ago. Professional football ended this weekend. I don't know how many people are licking their wounds, but I know this guy isn't because you were all over it. You were talking Philadelphia. When did you start salivating? Before the line even came out? Because you thought this was a mismatch all the way. How are you, Troy West? Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, doing good. And it's interesting. I look back again as we were approaching. You got 2 weeks to prepare for the Super Bowl, and everybody and their mother had this conspiracy theories about the referees and Patrick Mahomes was losing the playoffs. And yes, all that was true. But when you really, really looked at the body of work, Defo, and I didn't even look at this until more recently, but the Philadelphia Eagles have won 16 of 17 games at this point,
Yes.
right? Their offensive line phenomenal, defensive line phenomenal, the Vic Fangio factor, the Kellen Moore factor, the offense, and then you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and I won't get into it too much, but could have lost the first game of the year to the Baltimore Ravens. We had the inches on the toe, right?
Yep.
The toe tap game, missed that. The following week against the Bengals, you get the bad pass interference call. The Raiders muff a snap. The Broncos miss a 30-yard field goal. I mean, at some point, the luck had to run out with this Kansas City Chief team. And nothing against the Chiefs, but we talked about it all year, and I kind of looked foolish for saying it. But the talent on that roster is really not that good. I think it's a miracle that they even made the Super Bowl. So the fact that they were favored against a team that really, I mean, gosh, on paper is probably 10 points better than them, and they showed that they might have even been more than 10 points.
What an annihilation it was. Now, the people that weren't betting, and they're looking for a place to turn to. Who can I turn to? Bet online. It's always going to be a top spot. The most trusted betting platform is Bet Online, your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or first time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. The largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, the NHL, UFC. I know you're a big UFC bettor, Troy West.
Yes.
BetOnline continues to be your number one source for sports betting. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with the odds, the stats, and more for every game, every play, and every victory. That's what we're hoping for. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, so the postscript on the Super Bowl. How many did you hear? A lot of fetching, a lot of whining. Now you were giving out the Philadelphia Eagles to all of your clients there at Troy Wins, which is great. And so I'm hoping they gave you a gigantic collective pat on the back for being right about that. It's funny too how you could miss the obvious signs, as you pointed out. And I thought Kansas City was suspect all year long. And yet everybody kept looking at a couple of things, and that was number one, if you were choosing up sides at the park, and Patrick Mahomes walks out, and then Jalen Hurts gets out of his car, and you have the next choice, you're going to go Mahomes every time. And yet, Jalen Hurts, he's a winning player.
He
He's one of
is.
those guys that he doesn't have the prototype passing ability, but he puts the ball on the money, as he did a couple of times in clutch spots
Yeah.
in that game. And he may not be the most exciting Lamar Jackson type of runner, but he's no slouch in that category. And then, of course, you knew that the one chance that Kansas City had was going to be to try to bottle up Saquon Barkley. So these other guys were going to become factors.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and the other complementary players that they had on the Philadelphia Eagles. So it made perfect sense. How easy is it to handicap after the fact, though? It's incredible. Now, how many things that were hanging in the balance for Troy West clients and yourself, for that matter? Even though the game was a blowout, I think one thing that degenerates have learned, and especially those that are new to the whole sickness, is that the game still has a lot of value and meaning, even in the closing moments. That garbage time can be as important as the opening quarter. And it certainly turned out to be the case for a lot of people and a lot of money that exchanged hands.
Well, I can tell you firsthand, I lost a good chunk of my profits. I came out vastly ahead, but I lost a huge chunk of my profits. I had a two-team teaser. I think I even said it on the show, a 7-point teaser where we teased the Eagles up to 8.5 and went under 55.5. And so, yeah, we're sitting there at the edge of our seat, and it's 4th and 6. And your first thing is go, why would you go for it here? I get it's 4th and 6. It's about a minute minute 40 left in the game, and
Sure.
Pickett's in the game and throws just an ugly slant route. And I thought to myself, if they punt the ball, pin them inside the 10, the Chiefs are just going to run the ball, call it a day. And if they go for it, get the first down, game over, right? And you cash all your tickets. They end up going for it, they miss it. The Chiefs run out the starters. The Eagles got the backups in, and Mahomes throws a 50-yard touchdown to Worthy.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, and that ends up putting the line over the 55 and a half, which, not only crushed me, I know crushed several other bettors, but it really made no sense to me. I mean, to have Mahomes in a game where you're down 30 points with a minute 40 to go. I mean, can you imagine if he had suffered any sort of injury, or any of those guys for that matter, suffering an injury down in the game? But I think for the theory for me was, I think Mahomes had such a bad game that they didn't want him to go down as one of the worst Super Bowl performances of all time. I really think that was what played into their heads. There was like, hey, we got to get this guy some stats here, or this is going to just really kill the legacy. So that ended up burning me, and I think burned a lot of people.
Turned a lot of things around too. That play, I think Worthy went over his yardage total by catching that ball. He did have 8 catches in the game, so he was well over. I think 5 and a hook was the number that I saw on his proposition bet. And then Mahomes surpasses Hurts in passing yardage, which was something I was looking at actually playing before the ball game. I was thinking, you know what? Everybody's talking Mahomes, Mahomes, Mahomes. Mahomes never
Yeah.
loses to Fangio. Mahomes is going to be, three-peater. Is he the all-time greatest quarterback? And, having done sports talk forever, you know that by Monday morning, all of that conversation was out the window, and all of a sudden the guy's a fucking bum, and you have to rebuild and maybe even take a look at the Shedeur Sanders in the draft. I mean, people start speculating all kinds of crap. Although, and Mahomes just, I mean, he had no chance in that game. They may as well have given him a blindfold and a last drag on a cigarette, because he was basically facing a firing squad the entire ball game, so no
Yep.
shot. But yeah, those numbers really reversed, and I do believe that the under players have reason to walk out to. Is there a pier somewhere in Seattle where people can walk out and
Yeah.
just put cement shoes on and end it all?
I was listening to the radio here the other day, and I thought this was unbelievable too. The amount of Eagle fans that actually had, I don't know the exact odds, Defo, but it was well over 15 to 1 on the Eagles to win that game by 20 plus points. They're
Wow.
minus 20. And so that was another one that was a kick in the what that late in the game. Truly phenomenal.
It shows you, even if you have $5 on a prop bet, you can take the most boring of contests, and all of a sudden they become sensational fairy tale type degenerate stories,
Yep.
one way or the other. Maybe one of the toughest beats that you ever suffered, and/or some sensational victory that you got at long odds. All right, now to who do we turn? Who do we turn to? The famous old question. You've been involved, immersed in everything, of course, with Troy Wins and your team, but. NBA, I'm looking tonight. I know they have a break coming up with the All Star game. I'm not sure what the All Star game used to be an annuity, but it no longer is in both hockey and basketball. Remember, we used to you bet the over no matter what the total was in both the NHL All Star game and the NBA All Star game, and you were guaranteed to make money. It was a gift from the gods of gambling. I don't know how they even contest the All Star games anymore, but they do have a big break going on in the NHL with this Four Nations thing. And now the NBA with the All Star break upcoming. Is this unique? I don't know. When was the last time you saw all 30 teams in action, which is
You
happening
know,
tonight?
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, and the NBA has just been. I mean, you talk about the ultimate crapshoot. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I had the Sixers last night. They're at home. They're minus 10, full lineup. You're going against the Raptors, the worst team in basketball, and they lay an egg and lose 106, 103. The other thing that's just been phenomenal to look at is some of these totals, Defo. I mean, my gosh, I saw people yesterday on the Knicks over 243, or excuse me, 241, and it goes to 243. The Grizzlies and the Suns yesterday went to 131, or excuse me, 231, and I believe that total was 235, or excuse me, 245. I mean, I've never seen totals this high in the NBA. It's truly unbelievable. And yeah, you got a full slate today, but the NBA, I think you're better off positioning yourself with the prop bets. I really do. I mean, the other night we cashed in pretty good with Luca. His debut, they wanted him, his over under was set at 27 and a half
It's
points.
huge.
And I just
Yes.
thought, thought he'd come in and be a distributor and pass the ball around, and his minutes would be light, and that's exactly what happened. So I think right now you're
Imagine if
better
he came
off
in just
positioning
chucking
yourself
like,
with props.
yeah, like he came in and just started like, "Screw you, LeBron. I'm taking
Yeah,
every shot." That was a gigantic total.
yeah, it was.
Was that another rare gift from the gods of gambling? Because it was proposed to me, I guess, by Mike Jones on the show, and I said, "How can this guy possibly get 27 points in this game?"
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
but I guess if you looked at Anthony Davis in his debut in Dallas before he got hurt, the guy was already eclipsing whatever totals they could have put out there, no matter how preposterously high they were. But yeah, I think you were on the money with that one.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's spot stuff, but yeah, you wouldn't have expect Luca to put in a full lot of minutes coming off the injury he was coming off of. I mean, my God, the guy's been out for well over a month,
Yeah,
and for
and
him
the
to
food
think
in
that he's
LA
going to come
alone
in,
would have done.
exactly, to think he's going to come in and put up a 30 spot. I mean, sometimes those odds makers are crazy.
Yeah.
I kind of blows my mind.
I'm thinking he was more like Roberto Duran and Ricky Hatton between fights, where you would see a guy and they'd say, "Wait a minute, man! There's no way that guy makes 140 in 3 weeks." And he's walking around at like 190. And you figure with all the talk about Doncic, he just shove it in their faces literally, and hit all of the hot spots in LA and be dining on high end cuisine. But yeah, that number was a little bit weird. You're right. Everybody's saying that though, Troy. Is it true? Is there anybody out there that's hitting the NBA and just cashing night after night, just betting sides and totals?
I think you really got to pick your spots because it's just like, man, you never know what Celtic team's going to show up. You never know what Nick team's going to show up. I mean, so many of these teams are so inconsistent on when they're going to show up, and that's why the product to me, we talk about this with my buddies all the time. The product to me is so dead because you don't know when guys are going to show up. They're taking 20 teams to the playoffs. I mean, my God, when you throw in the play-in games and the playoffs, I mean, you're getting 10 a conference. I mean, you could really coast, and home court advantage, I don't think really matters to these guys. So you could literally coast the entire season, grab the 10 spot, get in the playoffs, and here we go. Buckle up. The playoffs, I think, will be very exciting this year. But the regular season's been nothing but a clunker to me.
The oddity too, and we keep looking at this, and I believe it's still holding up. Is that the two best teams are the best against the spread, also?
Yeah.
Where Cleveland has an excellent against the spread record. They may be, getting adjustments made where finally that's catching up. But and Oklahoma City, they were well out front as like the 1-2 teams against the point spread, in spite of the fact that they clearly had the best records. And I mean, what do you have? Cleveland like 6 games ahead of the Celtics, who started out on fire this year, and OKC's been great. Now they have Holmgren back. So figure only to continue to improve or continue to play at this very high level. But that was a weird thing because you're usually expecting, okay, some mid-pack team is doing well against the spread, but the two top teams in the league all year long have been also rewarding their backers with victories. All right, so it sounds like you want to dodge the NBA a little bit. I don't know if you have an NBA play because my
What?
temptation, of course, would be in the modern era of degeneracy to go ahead and try and accomplish the rare 15 team one night parlay of NBA sides. What do you
I
think?
saw a guy the other day had a $10 bet. This was just the other day. On I think he had at least 6 or 7 NBA. Guy hits a ten team parlay for $450,000 on $10 the other day.
Wow.
Hmm.
10 team parlay in the
And
NBA?
NBA, most of it was NBA. I think he mixed in a couple of colleges, but it's amazing if you're willing to take kind of one of those dark horses, like the Raptors yesterday on the money line against the Sixers. I mean, you're getting the Raptors at plus 500. I mean, my God, your
Right.
odds really juice up pretty quick there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and of course there are many blowouts you would imagine with a full slate of games going that are anticipated on tonight's schedule. Which I'm with you. I mean, I haven't followed the NBA as closely at this point in the season as I might have in other years, because when your team is out of it, or in the case of Seattle, you don't have a team there. I don't know who's the team that the people in Seattle, Washington embrace.
Well, the great question. The short answer is nobody.
Okay,
They're waiting for a team to come back. If you had to bet a team, would be the Blazers. The famous Kevin Calabro, who called Sonic games for 25, 30 years, is still the commentator with the Portland Trail Blazers. But I don't think you've got much of a following over there at all, to be honest with you.
Now, are you getting a team? Is that what's in the works?
The rumor's been that for a while. We've got the arena now, so the true rumor is
You have an
within two
arena
to
and
three
no team,
years.
or that was built for hockey?
Yep. Yeah, 2 to 3 years is the rumor. Yep,
Okay.
they will play in that same hockey arena. Yep, yep.
Okay, very good. And what's the reception been for the Kraken?
The first year the Kraken, they came out of the gates. They won a playoff series. It was unbelievable. I mean, the arena was absolutely electric. They took care of the Colorado Avalanche in the first round, and then actually went 7 games with the Dallas Stars. Since then, it's been a bad deal. The coach has been fired. They've got a new coach in. The roster's a mess. They're they're very much back in that expansion rebuild mode. So it's been ugly here. It's been death by a thousand cuts since that first expansion season. So they've got to turn it around in a hurry.
All right, and as a sports market, I mean, a friend of ours, a good friend of ours, is actually the president of business operations. Just moved in that spot this year. A guy named Kevin Martinez of the Seattle Mariners. So if you need Mariner
Oh yeah.
ticket hookups, I think we can probably impose on him. That would be the first. I haven't talked to him in
Yes.
years, but nonetheless, I wouldn't hesitate to make a call on your behalf. But they seem to be a team that draws its share of attention. I mean, unlike here, I mean, we're diametrically opposed geographically, and you couldn't find a Marlin fan. We actually. I mean, we're thinking their slogan should be "Forget about us" this year because everybody has just a disaster. So, and you would have thought that of the baseball areas that this would be more of an attraction here because you have the kind of demographics that old people and Hispanics that probably embrace baseball. But yeah, it's been ugly, and I would have to think. What would the number be? Like 63 on the over under for the Marlins going into the season? It's got to be brutal.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that one. No, I'm with you. And the Mariners out here, it's been almost a boycott because you've got arguably the best pitching staff in baseball coming back again. I mean, this is a staff that goes 6 deep. The bullpen's phenomenal, but they've done absolutely zero to improve that lineup that ranked 27th in baseball last year. So a lot of angry fans, a lot of angry fans. I still think they're plus 250 to win the division, and I think that's got a ton of value. The Houston Astros are favored to win that division, but they've taken a big step backwards, losing guys like Kyle Tucker, likely to lose Alex Bregman. I'm surprised Bregman's still not on a roster. They lost Verlander, so I do think Seattle's the favorite to win the AL West, and we'll see what that pitching staff can do in the playoffs.
Yeah, I saw a billboard for the Marlins. Their marketing campaign is Miami Marlins. We don't exist.
Oh,
They vanished from the planet. So yeah, that's going to be an abysmal. And it sucks, being a baseball fan. The team in your city is like literally non-existent, and so nobody gets into it. It's just a disaster for 162 games. All
yeah.
right, so what are we going to bet on here, Troy West? Because as I mentioned, I was stunned by this. I don't know how frequently or infrequently it happens. I would imagine it's a rarity. All 15 or all 30 teams in 15 NBA games on the slate. Now, is this like that's it? Now they go into the All Star break. Is that how that happened tonight? Because
I believe
everybody is
so.
pretty
I believe
incredible.
A
And
lot of
then
teams on the back to back. A lot of teams on the back to back tonight as well. But
yes.
I've got 3 college basketball games for you
Oh,
um,
beautiful. Okay.
that I like. I got 3 college basketball games. The first one, Iowa heads into Rutgers. Both teams not playing very good basketball. Rutgers now 12-12. Iowa now 13-10. I'll grab 6.5 points with the Hawkeyes. They're getting 6.5. That's too many points. They can score. They're one of the best scoring teams in the Big Ten. Give me Iowa in that game. Stanford travels to Georgia Tech. This is a bizarre line. 16-8, 8-5 in the ACC. They go into Georgia Tech. They're getting a point and a half. Give me Stanford. The wrong team's favored there. I'll take the point and a half all day long. And then my favorite game of the day, Bradley, 19-6 Bradley in the NBC conference. They're at home against Southern Illinois. They're laying 8.5, but this Bradley team is tough at home. This is a really, really good Bradley basketball team. Don't be surprised to see them in the March Madness tournament. Give me Bradley minus 8.5.
Are you sniffing out any so-called sleepers for your NCAA? tournament play? I mean, are you following any teams that you're looking at, Troy West and you and your guys? I mean, you mentioned a couple here that may have some chances, not just aspirations, but actual chances of either making a run or even winning it all.
Yeah, I've told people at the start of the year, I really do like Gonzaga still. They've had an up and down season. You can get them at 40-1 right now. I think
Wow.
that's got a ton of value to it, especially because they're going to win the WCC conference. They probably should have a top three seed at that point. So still really like Gonzaga. I also really like Houston. Man, they are playing really good basketball right now. Kevin Sampson's one of the best coaches in the country. You can get good odds with them right now too. It's an open field. A lot of people say this is a Duke Auburn tournament. I highly disagree. I think those two teams are both very vulnerable. I like Houston and Gonzaga as kind of my sleepers right now.
40-1 Gonzaga, and that would be interesting because every year everybody says, the world is all behind Mark Few, saying, "Well, this guy's going to finally win the championship." And look at their team, and they come in there with all the accolades and all of the, praise of bettors all over the planet, and then they bomb out like in the second round,
Yeah.
losing some mysterious game to NC State or something, and you're thinking, "Wow, what's up with this guy?" He always has tremendous possibilities, and then ends up getting bounced out. So maybe this is a year where nobody's talking about them. Being a possibility for the championship, and the few man finally comes through because that's been some tough beats for this guy over the years. As Gonzaga many times has been favored to win it all.
Yeah, no, exactly right. They've got the talent this year. To me, it's like, again, it's got that kind of NBA approach. They know they're getting in, they're playing a bad conference. Let's tune up and be ready to go for the tournament. And I think that's exactly what they're doing this year.
All right, you're giving out all kinds. I mean, I'm following your posts on social media, mostly on Facebook. I'm not really that much of an Instagram guy, although I know that's where the action is. But I'll eventually catch up with that. And I'm seeing you. I mean, just putting out play after play that comes up a winner, and then offering I mean, people literally a license to steal as you're
Mhm.
giving this stuff away practically.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is, we want, this is an industry where, everybody's selling something, right? So we want to
Yeah,
give you 7 days free. Come try out the product. 7 days free. We cover absolutely everything. We cover the UFC, college basketball, NBA, hockey. We're really good at golf. I mean, golf's another sport that we're just absolutely crushing.
it's a
So
great
come see
betting
what we
sport.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we cover it all. Cover it all. 7 days free, and then we hope you join us on one of our cheap packages. 20 as low as $29 a week. That's $4 a day. Come take a look. That's TroyWins.com.
Imagine that you put up a fin there. It's like you're tipping a valet Parker, and you get the wisdom and the research done by Troy West and his team. Any lean in this Genesis tournament coming up? I was invited into a golf pool, so I took a little bit of a look at the field. Kind of difficult to tell what's going on right now. There's no sexiness, no romance in betting Scotty Scheffler, although
No.
even after cutting his hand with like a wine glass as he was cutting up some sausage or whatever he was doing. Very mysterious. Scotty Scheffler with zero personality. He's been lurking, so
Yeah.
he might be due to crack through. I mean, there might be only a couple of weeks left before he wins every tournament. So, anybody that you're floating out there? Because
You
golf's
know,
great. I mean, if you get a guy at a big price and he takes off early in the tournament, there's no better ride than watching that guy go all the way,
uh,
as we did with Martin Keimer many years ago in the U.S. Open at 45-1.
totally agree. And we've didn't take too big a long shots, but we've circled Colin Morikawa. We've circled Hideki Matsuyama, who's the defending champ. The conditions are going to be tough out there this weekend. Rough's going to be thick. Weather doesn't look great. So I fully expect it to be one of the top 10 players in the country that takes this tournament. I don't see a long shot getting this one, but really looking forward to this. Is a fun tournament, great golf course. It's really a shame Tiger Woods pulled out again, but looking forward to this tournament this weekend without a doubt.
Yeah, and you can go crazy. I mean, you can hedge all day long. You can
Correct.
bet individual rounds. I mean, in round betting, I would imagine, is available too. Bet online and other places
I
where
love it.
can you
I
bet on
love it.
every putt? I mean, have you engaged in any of this sickness, Troy
Oh
West?
yeah, I mean, I think like you said, there's a lot of value. I mean, I'll give you an example. Dietrich last week with a 5 shot lead,
Yes.
just about wrapping up on Saturday, you could get it plus 118, and at a course like the Waste Management, that's really not that difficult. It's not a course you're going to go out and blow up at. It was a no-brainer to grab him at plus 118 at that point in the
They,
tournament. He
they
just was
actually
not going to blow
posted
it.
a price, and you were making 18 plus 118 in juice. I mean, on a guy that looked like a cinch at that point, didn't he?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, these they
Yeah,
overvalue, like you
easy
said, the
holes.
Scotty Schefflers, the
Yeah,
Jordan Spieths. They're going to overvalue those guys every single time on a final day. Even going into the final day with a 5-shot lead, you could get minus 165. So it's like, yes, there is value to golf. There's value to golf without a doubt. The guy ended up winning, I think, by 7 strokes. It wasn't even close. So
yeah.
um, definitely love dabbling into my live golf without a doubt.
I remember a guy calling me to hedge off. I had Martin Keimer to win the U.S. Open the year he won it at 45 to 1. I've been following it a little bit. I'm thinking some nondescript European schmenk's going to win the tournament this year. This guy had kind of been sort of rounding back into a little bit of form. And on the last day, he's leading by 10 shots, and you could have gotten even money on the rest of the field to beat him. So even if you thought, okay, here's a Jean Van de Velde type of collapse I'm anticipating, you're either going to collect the 4,500 on your 100, or you can hedge off 100 and get your money back. And now you have a free roll. I don't know. Are you inclined to do something like that? Or would you just figure, hey, look, if the guy blows a 10-shot lead, I deserve a sock and a
Yeah, in those situations, I typically just let it ride without a
yeah.
doubt. I hate giving back anything back to the house, but there are situations that hedging makes sense, but in those, I kind of like to let it ride.
Always the great Shakespearean question, to hedge or not to hedge. All right, you're not
Yes,
hedging your bets tonight. College basketball, Troy West, Iowa against Rutgers. Rutgers was supposed to have, a couple of stud NBA players there, one and doneers, and hasn't panned out.
yep, it has not panned out.
Iowa
Correct.
getting 6 and a hook. You got Stanford getting a point and a half on the road against Georgia Tech, and laying 8 and a hook with Bradley over the Salukis. Where's Clyde Frazier when you need him of Southern Illinois? Troy, always a pleasure once again. Where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, get to the website, troywins.com. A big old pop up. You'll get 7 days free, or go to the Instagram. It's Troy West, and we're marketing that 7 days free all over the place.
I appreciate you getting up, my brother here on Bury Your Bookie. Thanks so much for your insight, and always a pleasure, my friend. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right. Thank you, Defo. You guys take care.
All right, Troy West, ladies and gentlemen. For everybody connected with the program, I'm Jeff DeForrest. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you tomorrow. Mike Jones will rejoin us. He's been on Clemson. They've been hot. And then we'll have the professor with some college basketball, no doubt, for you on Friday as we continue through the week here on NoFilter.net. On behalf of Greenlight Ventures, Bet Online, and the people at NoFilter.net, I'm Jeff DeForrest. Thanks for tuning in to this morning's edition of Bury Your Bookie.